Hello, 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 and welcome. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and you are again with us, pardon me, for Rockin the Love.
Rockin the Love. That's right. Here we are. And as you can see, we're together. We're together, Shay. If you're out there, I know you love that. I am in New Mexico. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, it's a big week, right? Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I'm in New Mexico, and we're here rocking the love.
Yep.
Getting ready for a week.
So we're just inviting all of you to let us know you're out there. Tell us where you're coming from. Check in on all the buttons that say subscribe and come back and all those things for us. And we're going to talk today about
the tapestry of transformation.
Oh, that sounds deep.
Right? It is. I think it is deep. I mean, when you really start to think about what is transformation, I mean, well, we'll go into that.
And why is transformation important in relationships? So I was thinking about that, I mean, like sometimes people go through transformations and then suddenly their relationships start to have major changes, sometimes that appear not to be so good, So anyway, what's the tapestry? What's the whole thing coming together when you actually do transformation?
And we're going to be discussing that
later on.
In the meantime, how was your week?
How was your week? My week was good. You know what? This good friend of mine, this woman showed up yesterday at the airport. So that kind of added to, that was you. It was really fun to have Robyn coming in this week. And got a lot done this week, had a lot going on. Some great opportunities showing up at the Rio Grande Center. And the community is doing great stuff. We're going to have Thanksgiving thing tomorrow. So it's fun. It's exciting. Good week.
Lots of planning.
Lots of planning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good week. It's so funny. I was thinking about that right before the show, like, what was my week like? And I was like, when was my week? I couldn't even really define the week. Usually I have a feeling, but because I'm not doing the teaching work I was doing when I was living in Oakland, I kind of don't have the same parameters on my week. So everything kind of blends together. But I think the week has been good. It really is a transformational time in our households. And, it's just interesting with like teens and people getting set in their new environment and their new schools and their new locations and their new surroundings and, and new people. Southern California people are different than Northern California people.
Mm-hmm.
No, for better or for worse, it's just different, you know. It's just a whole different vibe and a whole different energetic and a whole different way of living and being. And I had very interesting conversations with one of my godchildren about he wants to see how they party here. He's 15. And he has like a helicopter mom. The amount of parties he has been to, you can pretty much count them on your hand, and especially if she wasn't with them.
You can count them on your hand like this.
No, there's more. There's
more than that one.
But still, I mean, when he says how they party, as if, he knows. But I think it's because we watched the TV show with kids that was a sitcom, so it wasn't very serious. But they only had like the parent got all upset about the red plastic cups they saw on the video somebody posted, and he's like, I know what's in those cups. And of course, when he got there, it was like root beer and Sprite and chicken soup. So that's now his vision of, what they're going to party like. But it's just fascinating. I don't know. So my week has been good. It's just very different. And then traveling here, it throws the whole week off. So there is no week. It's just like a blend. But it's good. It's good. No complaints. No complaints. It's all like a big surprise.
Well, I have to say, this is like the shortest time you've come here to spend. Because I was realizing, because I'm thinking, we're going to see each other. We're going to be together for this whole period. But the reality is you're only here until tomorrow afternoon, and then we're headed off and driving.
Yeah.
and then we spend the rest of the time in San Diego, and then I drive back. So, I mean, the point being, it's like you came here for 2 days.
Yeah, it's all an illusion.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, but it's good weeks. Speaking of good weeks, you have good news to put into there?
I do have some good news.
Okay, let's talk about the good news happening out in
Okay.
the world.
So I pulled up some good news that I want to share, in part because I knew how much you would like it.
Okay, thanks.
So there is a certain young woman who has disappeared, but it doesn't matter, who started a nonprofit serving orphan children in the Philippines. And she started it after a couple of mission trips there and blah, blah, blah. But the point was, at one point she asked herself, well, if there's not a nonprofit doing this, why am I not doing it? And so in her classes at USC, she actually created the proposal, learned how to set it up, and that's how she created her nonprofit.
Wow.
And now she's going back. I guess she's going back and forth between here and there, and has gotten sponsors and all kinds of things to make it work.
That's amazing.
But she's in college. I mean, I think she may have been in graduate school by then, and that was why she was saying, "Why didn't I do it when I was undergrad?" But hey, come on, folks. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure out how these things work.
Right? And sometimes it takes a lifetime, so a minute is good.
Yeah, really.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I do love that story. My story is about a sheep named Fiona.
Oh, a sheep named Fiona. Wow.
And
did she start a nonprofit?
She was dubbed. Sometimes if you ignore her, he'll go away. So Fiona, it was dubbed the loneliest sheep in Britain. And what happened is Fiona got stuck at the bottom of a cliff and on a beach. And she was literally there for 2 years.
Wow.
And people tried to rescue her and they couldn't, because it's very, hard terrain to maneuver. But finally, 5 guys decided they were going to do it. They got the equipment, they blah, blah, blah. And they got her back up. And it was super hard because Fiona, in her solitary mode, had gotten very fat. Plain and simple. And so
apparently food was not an issue on this lonely life. Okay.
And so it was really hard for them to get her back up, but they got her back up, and and it was actually she was right at the point of getting super dangerous because of her fleece had grown so much that when they had to defleece her, and all that is going to be used to make a charity something out of her fleece, her wool. But she's safe, and she's going to live at a petting farm and happy. And it was amazing. But I think, again, I'm forever reminded and baffled and proud of people who say, no, we're going to do it. People say, it can't be done. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to get it done, and go out and go the extra mile. And especially for a sheep, it's one thing. I don't know why it's different. Maybe it's no different if you're that elevated in your thinking, but it's one thing if someone's drowning in the ocean and you dive in to save them, you know what I mean? But if all these people have tried to say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to try again, I just think it's super fantastic. So that is faith in humanity. Thank you, Shay.
Yes.
Yep, that is what it is. And that's why we do the good news, because we know that truly there are people rocking the love out there all the time.
So there are people wanting to make sure children are safe and happy and fed, and there are people watching out for animals, and there are people creating ways to get plastic out of the ocean. There's all these different
ways to serve.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's us. Here we are. Giving just a little moment in time to remind everybody of all these different things. So today, like we said, we're going to talk about the tapestry of transformation. And I'm sure it's going to be juicy. We would love for you to join in. So again, let us know you're out there and get ready to talk about transformation, y'all, when we come back right here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Get inspiration in an instant. God calls are the gentle and uplifting moment of truth to help you remember that the bright light of God's love is shining right now as you.
It's your God Call with Reverend Bill.
Start your 2-week free trial today, and you'll get a phone call 4 times a week from Reverend Bill with an uplifting half-minute message filled with insight, wisdom, story, and fun.
Let your light shine.
You can answer the call to listen to it live or let it go to voicemail so you can hear it later. After the free trial, your subscription is just $5.95 a month. The details are at godcall.org. God calls are disruptive, intentionally.
Whenever you write something, put on a gold star.
They take you away from your routine to remind you about the truth of who you really are. They come at random times between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m., so you won't be expecting them. And somehow, the message is exactly what you need to hear at the time.
Magic is loose in the world.
It's a moment of motivation in the middle of your day. Find out more and start your 2-week free trial now at godcall.org.
Hello, and welcome back to Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are really happy to have you here today. We're rather excited. That's brilliant. God calls. Okay, so thank you, Shay, for watching the ads.
And it is brilliant.
It is brilliant. It is brilliant.
It is brilliant. So we are talking today about tapestry of transformation. Transformation. So why tapestry? What does tapestry mean?
tapestry. It is a weaving of some kind. It's multiple things brought together into one. That's what I think. What do you think?
I didn't think.
Would
But
you like to try?
I thought, thank you for the invitation. I thought enough to make you watch the tapestry videos, but no, I looked it up. And what I found was it's a tapestry in life. You can use tapestry to describe anything that's multi-layered
Multi-layered, right?
and complex, like the tapestry of life in a rural town, the tapestry of life of your family history. So yeah, it's pretty much what you said, all woven together. How you put it all together, the tapestry in like your favorite novel.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you mentioned that you showed me the video of someone doing tapestry and the fascinating part is that when you compare that to life, you can see how each thing builds on what came before, and sometimes it's kind of a lump over here, and sometimes it's a splash of color over here, but as it builds up, it creates this picture which is much more interesting and intricate than what the pieces have appeared to be.
Okay.
That's my thought.
And so transformation. What is transformation?
Transformation is when we well, technically transformation is something changing from one thing to another, right? It's transformed,
right?
It goes from one thing to another. I think of transformation in a spiritual life as not so much changing from one thing to another, but moving from how we've lived our lives into a new way of living that allows us to be more understanding of our world, more able to participate in our world, more able to participate with others.
Right. Yeah, and interestingly enough, though, when I looked it up in the Oxford Dictionary, it said a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance. And then I was like, wow, I think I've transformed many things, but I wasn't sure it was that powerful, like thorough or dramatic change. But then I think of like Transformers.
Yeah.
And things like that. And that is dynamic change. And I think there's also like not just plain, I think in this realm, what we talk about is spiritual transformation.
Right.
And spiritual transformation is, a fundamental kind of change in someone's life, right? Or a spiritual awakening or a newness. And Shay says, I literally had a tapestry image come to me during my transformation. I am grateful because it showed me that every single thread in the tapestry was necessary for the full picture to evolve.
Yes.
Thank you, Shay. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. But in a nutshell, it's so true, right? We want to disregard things in our life, and yet they all play a part.
Mm-hmm.
They all play a part.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how we interpret it in the moment or what's going on. It's still a part of the tapestry. It's still a part of getting from point A to point whatever we're getting to.
Right.
And I think my comment about transformation, you use that dramatic kind of thing. I think my thought is sometimes we think we have to radically be changed when in fact we have to radically accept who we really are, in my opinion. And that's where the radical change comes in the appearance of how we act in the world, less than in ourselves. It's not like we become someone new. It's that we're able to show up in a new way. So anyway, I don't know how that fits in, but It seemed to make sense when I said it.
No, I think that's, I mean, I think that's key to life, right? I mean, what I think is that what you're saying and what Shay says and what I've said, I think that it's really how we hold those and if we notice those, because I would venture to say that we're changing every day. You know, we're always changing. You know, even when we wake up in the morning, it's a whole new dynamic of who we've been and biologically and, you know, all of those things. So, but we don't acknowledge that. I mean, we don't acknowledge change and transformation a lot of the times anyway.
Right. Because we don't notice or we trivialize it that we should have already. You ever do that? Like, oh, yeah, that's good that that's finally shifted, but I should have done that 5 years ago.
I don't have time to do that. I'm too busy taking care of you. What you do. I'm too busy trying to keep up.
All right.
No, but I mean, yeah, I think that's a good point. It's a good point. So why do we seek transformation so much? Why do we seek that in our life?
There's always a desire to become better, to become more useful to those around us, more engaged with our world. Feel like we've done something of consequence. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about how we're always, human nature is that we're always seeking, right? We're always, like you just said, seeking to be better at something or different or wanting to create the more or change. And, you know, a lot of people come to New Thought and to all spiritual roads and religions and, you know, classes, education, looking for that change, right? Looking to fill that need.
Yeah, looking for what is it? Looking for a shift, looking for a shift in their lives somehow. And I think the fun thing about looking at this as a tapestry, talking about tapestry of transformation, is that looking, that whatever it is that sparked the looking, that process of finding out, that's all part of the tapestry, which actually becomes the transformation. I mean, it can't happen without all of that foundation being laid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think obviously it's always happening, even when we don't know it. So how do we know that it's happening? But right, how do you identify, like, okay, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say, how do you identify if it's working? You know, like if you're doing it right.
Right. Now, Shay says, I've gone through such a dramatic transformation in the past 3 years. I feel like a new person, and I have retained the discovered even more the sacred core of who I am. And I think in some ways, Shay, there are times when we feel it and notice it and it's all there. And I have found there are times where I all of a sudden go, oh, wow, that's been happening. I see how this got built, and now I see the picture. You know, even though I didn't necessarily set out to create it, didn't know or realize that it had been happening. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes sense. And what I was thinking about is formulating in my mind. I was thinking how this plays into one of the other topics we're going to talk about this month, which is toxic positivity.
Mm.
And like I was wondering in my mind, like the balance between, you know, what we tend to do in New Thought is declare it all good, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's all happening for a reason, so it's got to be good, and good, the good of God all the time. And we sometimes get stuck in that loop, and so I was wondering in with transformation, like how do you weave that in?
Well, I think what happens with that is that we deny ourselves and others compassion for the real feelings and real experiences we're having. I think it's one thing to acknowledge somewhere in your being that we understand that there's something more that's happening here. But right now, it doesn't feel good or look good. You know, and that it's okay to be sad when a spouse dies or when something happens like that. Not that we stay in that place, but that we allow that change to become part of our transformation at some point into our next iteration, if you will.
And Shay says, I appreciate that, Gil. For me, it's very stark and apparent, black and white.
Mm.
When I see my old Facebook posts, I'm like, that's the terrified face.
The terrified face.
The terrified face, if you're not looking at the screen.
Well, you know, and I think we've all experienced that with many things. I mean, I Sunday that of an experience I had where sometimes I look back and go, that was pretty terrifying, you know. But it's okay because it's all part of growing and understanding and becoming who I am. And had I not had those experiences, I wouldn't have anything to mark where I am now,
Mm-hmm.
because there wouldn't be anything there.
And our producer says, for me, transformation is uncovering the divine within.
Mm.
Yes.
So sometimes the transformation, I think that's the key with the tapestry concept, because I love this visual that all of a sudden there's something beautiful. And I think that's that thing of finding and revealing the divine within. It's that hidden in here in this pile of yarn and string and fabrics, whatever it is, and sitting there looking like a lump of nothing is something beautiful that can be fashioned.
Yeah, and intricate. I love that. I literally, when I went to YouTube to watch a video, I was like, oh, okay, Gil has to see this, because I mean, yeah, I know it's intricate and all of that, but it to watch people like weave and do two over and two under, and just like it's like so zen, and then you know, different fabrics and different things, and then the ones that make pictures, and that it dates back to the 17th century, and it all just felt like such a metaphor for life, like how you weave it all together, because truth be told, we can't get rid of any of it, right? So even if you've had, you know, a horrible childhood or a horrible experience with X, Y, or Z, we can't get rid of it. We can only weave it into the picture.
Mm.
You know, there's no blacking it out or pretending it didn't happen, or, you know, and if we can weave it in, then we're not bringing it forth as anything that stands out. It's simply a part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it becomes something that's contained within rather than something that's jumping out. You know, I was thinking about this idea of tapestry of transformation and being in relationship, and how we sometimes end up in places where we have struggled because we found ourselves understanding better our divinity and moving forward, and some other people aren't interested in going there or haven't gotten there yet, or whatever the deal is. And they're looking at our picture and they're seeing from here down, and we've woven up to here, and now the picture looks radically different.
Right.
And they're like, I don't know that I like that picture.
Right. Shay says, Reverend Jim Webb says, everything is intricately and meticulously orchestrated.
Okay, Shay gets the tongue twister award of the day.
Pronunciation award. Yeah, but yes, I mean, and of course it is. Like, I mean, I don't know. For me, when I look at my life, I'm like, wow, who would have thought to put these pieces together? Or who would have thought this could have ever worked? And who would think, I don't know, just, it's like when we play that game, when we do workshops with kids and adults too. Like there's this one game we'll play sometimes that's, 3 people stand up and they tell their story, or they tell a story, a truth, or 2 truths and a lie. We'll do that one instead. And, at different times we've used different things, but there's times when we'll say, like I'll stand up and go, I love Mexican food is my favorite food. I kissed John Travolta, and I'm African American. And when we used to do diversity workshops, people would laugh and go, you didn't kiss John Travolta. What? And the answer is, what's the lie? Did I tell one?
I don't know that you told one.
Oh, or what's the, no, I did it wrong.
Just
Well, anyway, whatever. The African American one is always the one that that was my punchline. Hi. Okay, welcome back. Anyway, what I'm saying is, so just for anyway, all those things are true. However, people would always guess African American. You're not African American. It's not being true. And, and so when I look at my life, just like, even just saying those things or the experiences, like, how did those get weaved together? Who thought, okay, well, not who, I got it. Yeah, like who thought, okay, and we'll make her look like this, and we'll make this, and we'll do that. And you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I mean, like that is not the job that I would have wanted. So praise be to the highest. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that it's just our lives are so intricate, even when we don't know it. Because then if you ask me to talk about my life, I'm like, I don't know, there's nothing to talk about. And yet people go, you're fascinating.
Well, it makes me think of your family reunion we went to last summer.
Yeah.
And meeting all the different people and seeing all these lives that have evolved in this one tapestry of a family. And man, it's wild, because some of them didn't know each other at all. I mean, didn't even know the others existed. And just how those things come together. And
why they came together now.
Right.
Like there was a whole side of my family that are white, Caucasian, but they're not, that didn't know. But then, like when they found out, because my cousin got in touch with them, they're like, oh my God. One was like, oh my God, thank God, this now explains my hair. which everyone will understand. But I mean, it's, and why did we come back together? Why did we find each other and find ourselves at the grave sites of our great grandfather, and, finding out he was a deacon at a church, and all these things, and where our grandparents grew up and great grandparents. And why, how, what is it, what are we to do with it? Why, like the stuff that we carry on.
And what at the picture being woven is this picture of this incredible possibility of people appearing and thinking they are so different, and yet they're not. And they've had radically different backgrounds, yes, I mean, lives and stuff, and yet they're all rooted in this same beginning.
And isn't that the message for the world? I mean, isn't that what we're all, seeking or looking? I mean, isn't that like the key to just at least being able to coexist with each other?
So taking time to allow a tapestry to evolve and reveal itself, I think that takes a lot of patience and compassion. What do you think?
Yes, and it always is doing it anyway.
Right.
I mean, it's always being revealed. It's always, and I think, I mean, I think, how do you know? And how do you know? Like if you're out there seeking and you're new to new thought or not old to new thought, but you're seeking some kind of spiritual transformation. Like, how do you know when it's happening? How did you know, Shay? I mean, when do you look? I mean, I get it that you looked at your Facebook posts and were like, oh my God, that's not me anymore, or some version of that, but how do we really know? And, I think some of that is your old ways of being start to disintegrate, right? Because you start to live into the new and you start to find different ways.
I think, different people that we have relationships with, or we have primary relationships or family relationships where it gets reflected back to us sometimes. Sometimes people really notice what we haven't, or they notice, or they reaffirm that, oh, there's movement. I can see something new and more beautiful showing up as you in this moment. You need to know that.
Well, and I think along with that, sometimes that shows up in a different way. As I was reading the signs of how that it's working, shows up as people leaving your life,
People falling away
because they can't relate to you anymore, or you don't have the same commonality, common ground. And that, I mean, I think that was kind of, a big thing for me, like when I started training and stuff. Not that people fell away, but there was definitely there was a distance, and there was a different way. Like I couldn't bitch and moan about everything with everybody. You can't, there comes a point where one isn't stuck in that loop of all the things that are wrong or how people should do it and designating other people's life, because you're focusing on your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Shay said she knew because she could feel her outer circumstances were improving. Her inner landscape is peaceful. Outer landscape is peaceful. Thoughts become things. Thank you, producer Michael, for juggling. I was seeing if you were on your toes, jumping around with me. Yeah. Thoughts become things. There's a thought coming through. There's a thing coming through his head. Yeah.
It's just that I think sometimes we really are in tune, and sometimes we're really desiring to find that transformation. We're really looking for that new picture. And there are times when we're either not paying attention, or we're completely distracted, or whatever, and we're not even noticing changes moving forward. And I think sometimes that happens whether we're moving, if the picture is starting to have some rough stuff in it, or if it's becoming more beautiful and smooth as we're transforming. either way, sometimes we don't even notice, and we have to stop at times in order to help ourselves create what's next, whichever direction we want to move it.
Yeah. And Chase says, I lost my entire old life and everyone in it for this to be possible. I'm still growing through the grief, and it creates more peace. Beautiful. And that's so important. I mean, and again, that's part of the not going into spiritual bypass about it, but really acknowledging the grief and being with it. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Bonnie Gonzalez, the doula for grief, here to talk about grief and, what happens during the holidays and maybe some ways to, work through it. And what happens also when you're grieving your old life or your friends or people that have been around. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to read you these 9 signs of your experience that you're experiencing a spiritual transformation.
Mm-hmm.
One is old ways of being disintegrate.
I think I heard that somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
New doorways open.
Okay.
Letting go and surrendering. Self-identity loosens.
Mm.
Some people in your life leave.
Mm.
Profound insights into the nature of reality. Energetic purging and detoxification. And more inner security and trust in life.
Mm.
And
I think that last one is really interesting because to me, that both is a result of the transformation and is what allows me to be open to the transformation possibilities. Is because as I see, the ways that the thing works together, as I see the tapestry unfolding, I begin to trust that even though there's this weird stuff in there that I didn't like or didn't know or didn't understand, it has created this picture. It's created this possibility for my life. And so if I know that, then I can allow and be more surrendered to that happening moving forward. And when I hit those spots, go, okay, what is this exactly? What am I possibly learning here?
right. There was one of those that I wanted to talk more about. Profound insights into the nature of reality.
Mm.
What does that mean?
Well, I think it's when we start to. Well, I think it's still part of that. It's when we see things differently and we go, oh, I can. Losing my cat is horrible, but I can see the bigger picture and how things flow, and now I have space in my life for something else, and all those kinds of things. And the nature of reality is it's always moving, it's always changing, there's always things showing up, and we're always, in order for things to work, you have to breathe in and you have to breathe out. So you have to embrace and exbrace. That's not a word. Let go.
Mm-hmm. She says, I've had every one of those and I'm grateful. A lot of letting go, a lot of tears, lots of talking to spirit. I am healed. Beautiful.
How great it is to be in that space, feeling that healing, feeling that sense that we have, gone somewhere, and yet knowing that at the same time, the tapestry is still being built. When does it stop? When does our tapestry of transformation stop?
Well, yeah. And I think along with all of those, the 9th thing was a deepening of love and compassion. And I think that's what happens, is that there's that integration, as you begin to loosen your idea of self, it opens up the space for a deeper love and to love from a deeper place. And so as that happens, there's this letting go, which leads to forgiveness and all of that, of things that may have served you in the past or you may not need anymore, or and being able to I would say, not only loosen your idea of yourself, but loosen your idea of others and what people should have done or how they could have been, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm coming over here. And make it work. Thank you.
So apparently we're going to see a quote or something
I'm trying to.
in a moment.
I can't see it. You can't see it till I see it. Okay. So I love this one, and this reminds me of some of that we've been talking about. Our weavings in the cosmic web are not self-contained. Rather, I left out a word. Sorry. Rather, they are part of the design of our collective humanity. And I think that just reminds us that even in the midst of this, as we're each developing our own, it's part of the larger. It's not fully self-contained. It's not the only thing. Sometimes we think it's only our life and that's all it is. But even as people fall away, even as people show up in our lives, what our tapestry has contributed to theirs, what our tapestries together have contributed to the whole, is constantly expanding and contributing to everybody.
True that. I think that we are all a part of the tapestry of love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that, excuse me, even in our imperfections, that we as a planet make up this tapestry of love. And whether we consider ourselves good or bad or dead or alive or any of those things, rich or poor, we all belong to this tapestry. And it's weaved together.
Well, if love is the energy, that's the essence of what's coming forth from spirit, the essence of all creation, then suddenly, the whole tapestry is love.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is love. Our whole life is love. Our whole, whether we are in one state or transformed into another, it's still love showing up.
Yeah. Yep, it is. And Shay says, yes, my healing affects mass consciousness. I'm being the change now.
Yeah, I think we're contributing to the beauty of the world with what we do. With that, I mean, that's the whole, we're contributing to someone else's potential for finding a new way. Every time we take a moment to be in compassion, to speak with someone, to whatever it is. So I'm going to start with that one. Think of your experience as a huge tapestry that can be laid out in whatever pattern you wish. Each day you add a new thread to the weaving. Do you craft a curtain to hide behind? Or do you fashion a magic carpet that will carry you to unequaled heights? That's a Tony Robbins quote.
And that is a good thought to leave y'all with. Knowing that we rock the love as we do this exploration, I think that's beautiful. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
So,
I was just thinking about the whole hiding thing, how easy that is to kind of pretend that we're behind it. We're not really there.
Or that we're not part of it.
Yeah.
That we're not a thread in it.
Yeah. It's not us.
Yep. So on that note, remember that at your Thanksgiving dinner tables this year. And we're wishing you you thinking about what I
Can you
told
tell
you?
your joke?
A friend of mine posted on his Instagram, he said, This year at the Thanksgiving table, make sure and talk about politics. It will shorten your Christmas shopping list. Follow me for other holiday tips. So we're not suggesting that, but we're understanding that and knowing that each table and each person is met with love this holiday season. And I do, before we go, I want to answer one question that was asked of me last week or a couple weeks ago, and that's about donations. We welcome any donations here at New Thought Media Network. And somebody had asked me, but how do I get my name on that little banner thingy? So I explored that. And what that is if you are a consistent monthly donor, then your name will be put up on that list. And as of right now, there is no consistent amount you have to donate, simply that it's taken out of your bank account every month. So whether it's $100 or whether it's $1,000 or whether it's $10 a month, that's how you get your name up there on that banner. And there's no shame in that. Why not? Why not see yourself on the banner?
And that's how New Thought Media continues to be able to offer these programs.
Yeah, to be over these programs and coming soon classes and workshops. Rumor has it that Shay may have a class out there, and I don't know if you've tuned into any of the other shows. Michael Mangus, our producer, has a great show on Friday nights. So all of that just is supporting Rockin the Love out in the world. So I invite you to get started now. Find the donate button and just,
I think our producer put that up just a moment ago. So there you are.
Yeah. And we're just so grateful. We're so grateful you're here. You're so grateful you're here with us. And we're so grateful for the opportunity to do this because it's fun and hopefully somewhere it's making a difference. So we will see you next week from our San Diego studios. And in the meantime, you know what to do. Rock the love, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.